This is new version, new series. We're going to talk a little bit in depth about suicide prevention, training, PTSD, living with disabilities, living in a general lifestyle in like modern society and the way things are due to COVID, how we get on, having a bit of a laugh, and also answering any questions that people send to us and getting as much information as possible. So welcome to the new podcast, and I would like to introduce my guest today, Alfie. She is the world's strongest disabled woman. So I'll let her introduce herself, and then we'll crack on. So hello, Alfie, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, apart from having COVID, but you know, it is what it is.
yeah, COVID. So if you could tell everyone a little bit about yourself, where you come from, how you got into training, how you got into strongman, where you are now, and what you're looking for the future.
Okay, so I wasn't always born with a disability. Running on concrete for 20 years, then made my knee fall apart. 30 operations, made my foot go wrong as well. So then I was left in a situation where they wanted to amputate my leg. Blatchfords came forward and have made me a robotic leg to save me having the amputation. But about 10, 12 years ago, I decided that I'd like to go to the gym, wanted to have a go at a para sport, wanted to have a go at rowing, but apparently I'm too small for rowing. So that was out. So I'm only 4'11", so you've got to be about 6 foot for that. I went to British weightlifting. I had a go at that. I was the English and the British champion in 2017. I got a bit bored with para powerlifting, to be fair, because it's just bench press. So I thought, what else can I try? I then had a look around, found Gary Clark. He introduced me to Disabled Strongman. And that was, oh my goodness, where are we now? 2.5 years ago. So I went to the British. I trained. I didn't expect to ever win anything because obviously I'd not actually really ever done strongman before. I trained the events as best I could, and I went there and I won. And I was just like, oh my God, how did this happen? And that's where I've been ever since. I absolutely love it. It's so varied and you meet a great range of people. And I do find that the people in strongman are really, really kind. They all help each other. It's like a massive family. And it's not like it was in British weightlifting. Should I say that really?
You can say what you like.
But yeah, I found British weightlifting very cliquey. If your face fits, that sort of thing. Whereas strongman, everybody's welcome. You know, they treat you like a big family. You know, if one person's got a problem, the others will help. And I found that really good because at the time, I wasn't very well and I didn't realise I had cancer. And it only came out at the end of last year. So I had to have a massive operation this year, and I was told I would never go back to competing. So I proved the doctors wrong and came out and smashed it at the Worlds. So I was quite happy with that. And then obviously I've got a feeding tube in my face because I don't digest food. I have something called stomach dysmotility, which I've had since I was a kid. About a year ago, it went completely out of control. I am liquid fed. Well, I was orally, but now I'm fed into the bowel because I don't tolerate food anymore. And as you know, Iceland for me was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, I was so poorly. I was so sick. I was having a real hard time. The guys got me through, obviously, but this is what it is now. But it's all right. You know, I'm still smashing it. I'm still strong. So yes, I'm quite happy.
Yes, you are.
I'm quite
so
happy.
Going back to training,
yes.
When the doctors turned around and said to you, you'd never compete again, how did you take that? How did that sit with you? How did that come across to you? Is that someone trying to put a limitation on you? Because I know what would happen if they did to me. So I just wanted to know if we and you got the same sort of wavelength here.
Yeah, it was like when my leg first went wrong and I weren't dealing with that very well. And in a way, I don't want to say it's PTSD because PTSD is something a little bit different, but it felt to me like my world had ended because it's the only thing that I have left really. And I really enjoy training. And it's like I went to some dark places when my leg first went because I didn't know what to do. I was always active. I was always running. I was doing martial arts. And then all of a sudden I do nothing. So I was determined that that was not going to happen. When they said to me, Miss Wright, you will never compete again. And I'm looking at this man thinking, I don't think you actually understand what you've just said to me.
Yeah.
Because that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, I did go to the British and I was only been training 5 weeks. I wasn't ready for the British. I shouldn't have ever gone, really. But, you know, I went, I did all right. I didn't win, but I did all right. Considering,
yeah, but that's not. See, I don't see that. When I go to a competition, especially like you look at the Worlds last year, I only had 4 weeks before I knew anything about it. So 5 weeks. So I was only training 5 weeks before that competition. So I didn't expect to go there and get anything. But I was more doing that for a learning curve. Now, if you look at the year I've had to the year you've had, it's very similar, really, because you got told you were going to stop. Like I got told when I first got here that if I carried on doing what I'm doing when it comes to strongman, I'd be in a wheelchair. And I turned around and said, that's fine, I'll just change class.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Doctors don't understand the mentality.
No.
In fact, people don't understand the mentality when you've never been put in that situation. I personally think when you have to change something like your lifestyle on a massive scale due to an injury or a disability, you have to, or you will go in a dark place. Like I've been there, I've done that. So I don't really want to talk about that on here because that's a different podcast. But what I'm saying to you is, how did you come from being told that you're going to have these limitations for the rest of your life to where you are now? Now, where you are now is you are the world's champion. You're the world champion. So how does that make you feel? And if you could turn around to any one of the doctors that turned around and said, you'll never do this again, I know what I'd be showing them. It's on one hand and it requires 2 fingers. Well,
do you know what I did? I emailed them a picture of me and my trophy saying world champion.
So how did you get there then, Alfie? How did you go from that mindset?
I won't let anything beat me. You know, when they told me they were going to remove my leg, I was like, really? No, you're not. No, you're not. And it's all about fighting and not getting down because, you know, it is a big thing when they say, oh, you're never going to compete again. And I thought, how do you know I'm never going to compete again? What tells you that I'm never going to compete again? I'm not an average person. That might be for the average person, but I'm not an average person. So that to me was not even, that's not happening.
Explain to me why you're not an average person then.
Because I will fight all the way. I will fight harder than anybody else to get what I need to do. You know, some people would give up. Most people would have given up. When they're told that, they just, okay, the doctors are right. Well, no, the doctors aren't always right at all.
So you live by mind over body?
I do. 110%.
So tell me how you got to the Wales then, what you did beforehand, sort of ups and downs. Let's start from being, in fact, no, we did the Arnolds before that. So we want to talk about the Arnolds and the prep, and then we're going to go through up to the World, because that's where people are going to understand where you've come from, where you've been, and how you're going to get to the next part. So if you can...
Well, the Worlds for me, the Arnolds for me was the next stepping stone from my surgery. Now, I'd already proved to myself that I could do it at the British, and yeah, I did have a lot of pain, but I went through the pain and I did what I needed to do. So the next step up was the Arnolds. Now, I knew the Arnolds was going to be hard because the Arnolds for us was the pinnacle of what was in Britain at the time. So I knew it was going to be hard. My competition, for some reason, like all the girls seem to be really massive and I'm not. I knew I was going to have to fight, but it's all a learning curve for me. From where I was before my surgery from the cancer to where I was now. So I was sitting in what I would call an okay place. I knew that I needed to do a lot of training. I got my head down and I trained as hard as I could. I was in the gym 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, just continuously training. Now, at the time, I was struggling with my nutrition. My stomach wasn't very good. I was throwing up all over the place. And that makes it harder for someone like me to compete because I wasn't keeping any nutrients in. So even though I was training really hard, it's very slow to get the strength.
Yeah.
But, you know, I went there. I was struggling on like the pull because of the way you're doing this. It wasn't very good for my stomach, and I was having a bit of trauma with that. It did make me very poorly. But, you know, I PB'd on things, so I was quite happy. Yeah, I didn't win, but I was happy with my performance. But that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to have to ask Mr. Tonner to help me here. Because that man's got one arm and he can throw things about with one arm. So that's good enough for me. So
the Wounded Highlanders, we are a team of injured, sick veterans competing in the Scottish Highland Games. My discount code is TONNER10, TONNER, all in capital letters. You can visit the website, it's in the description below. Let's get back to the podcast.
So sometimes it's good to get I need to have somebody responsible for me sometimes. Totally. I train all by myself and everything, but sometimes it's good that I can say to someone, I need you to help me and I need somebody to be responsible for me and tell me where I'm going wrong or what I need to do and stuff like that. And then you did it. But the thing is, what people tend to misunderstand when it comes to training is you've got to put the work in, haven't you? Oh, God, yeah. 110%. Your program nearly killed me. Hey, did you win? Of course I did. Of course you did. Did you PB on everything? All over the place. There you go then. So the only issue I had when it comes to training you, Alfie, was the nutrition side of it. Because obviously when you're training a strongman, you need to have as many calories you can get in as possible. Whereas the issue that we had, we didn't want you losing weight because your workload was too high. So it's balancing it to the part where I'm not making you unhealthy, and it's also balancing the part where you're making you stronger. I think it definitely made you stronger. Oh, it definitely made me stronger. I pulled a 3.5 ton truck. Yeah, it definitely made me stronger. I think it's a bit more than that, wasn't it? Oh, I don't know. It was very heavy. I think about 8,000 pounds. That's what they worked out at. Oh, 8 tons then. Oh, there you go. Okay, then I pulled 8 tons. But, you know, if it wasn't for your program, because sometimes I don't like to ask for help, but that's just me. But, you know, when you do ask for help and you get the help that you need, and you understood my nutrition, but we kept on track and weighing and everything, and it did work. It really did work. Yeah, it was hard, and I was nearly crying in the gym sometimes, and I'm lying in the gym. People are like, are you all right, Alfie? I'm dying, you know, and I'd text you, oh my God, I'm dying. And you'd be like, you're welcome. And I'd think, really? But at the end of the day, it works. It really does. And there was nothing on there that you couldn't do. I understand that. Because we all know, well, not everyone, but you certainly do know what happens if you say the C word, and the C word being carbs. So if you come up across something on your program where you automatically think I'm unable to do that, we have a little conversation and then you do it. But if you turn around and said, I can't do it. No, I will never say that again. What would happen? Well, first of all, you gave me 50 adapted burpees. Yeah. And then I did that. Then I had to do another 50 because I said something else. So I had to do 100 burpees. But then I thought I'd be clever and do my second lot of adapted burpees with a push-up. And then you decided you're going to give me something even worse. So I haven't said that word since. I don't want what's coming next. Good. So that leads me on to my next question. What's your plans for the future? What's next for you? What's Alfie Wright got next plan? Well, looking at opening a clothing brand with you. Hey. You know, that's something that I really want to do. I think that'd be really cool. Obviously, you know, we're looking into that. So that's something that's there. We're just trying to get it all sorted. So I think that'd be quite cool. Then we've got, what have we got? We've got Columbus coming up for the Arnold. So I want to go and take my title back there.
Good girl.
So
Good
I'll
lad.
be working,
On their home turf.
Yeah, why not? It's been done before, it can be done again.
Oh, I don't believe me.
Yeah, so that's in March. Then we got the Brits, so I'll be going to take my title back there. And then we'll have the Arnolds again at the end of the year, the British Arnolds. So I think it's going to be better this year because it was so full on last year and it was just back to back to back. You didn't even have a chance to deload. It was straight into training, 4 weeks training, the next competition, 4 weeks. And I think it has affected quite a lot of the strongmen because it's been
been hard for me. Like I had this is the longest period I've had time off training. So since Iceland, the last was yesterday. It was the first time I picked up a weight. So you're talking nearly 4 weeks? 4 weeks, a month of me out training. I was going doolally, to be fair, but my body didn't feel right. It felt like it needed to be rested. I've got some twinge which is going on in my hip. I'm not too sure. That carries on, then I'm going to get looked at. But my body was near enough breaking itself down by the world, pretty much.
Yeah, my shoulders were suffering, absolutely suffering. And I did at one stage, well, you looked at my shoulders for me and I was like, oh my God, they're so bad. But then I was in hospital, wasn't I? Get my feeding tube sorted. So I had a week out there, which actually did my shoulders good. But it's very hard. And for people like Big Mike, who've got neurological condition, he's fried, absolutely fried, because he hasn't had the rest.
No, well, so hopefully I'm going to get Big Mike on here, and because I find his disability very interesting. And what I mean by very interesting is he can do things with other parts of his body, which will stimulate his brain to react in a different way where he can do the event. So you might see him rubbing his leg on his thigh really, really hard, and then that'll trigger his brain stimulation to go and do a log lift. But it's unreal. Now, Big Mike, like I said to him, I want to try and get money and really talk about his disability. I'm not going to go into too much about it now, but his disability is very rare, very rare. And the fact that nothing and what he knows about how the brain stimulates can benefit people with Parkinson's, it can benefit people who've had strokes, all that sort of stuff, which that sort of stuff intrigues me because I want to learn. Like the nerve pathways that I have stop here. So I have a massive tick. So, I get angry, I just end up clenching my jaw. So it's like understanding what I can do as you rub my leg, pinch my leg, or do whatever to stop that from happening. So I find it really interesting. So I hope we're going to get Big Mike on here. But yeah, my body, like today, first time doing legs since Iceland, a leg press 450 plus the plate. So I've not lost a lot of strength in a month. I just need to weight going through my body again. So by the time it comes to Ohio, I'll be there'll be no one capable to beat me. I'm saying that now. KTM Nutrition, they do all your dietary and supplement needs, whether you want to lose weight or gain weight. Discount code is MT10, capital letters. The website for KTM Nutrition is in the link in the description below. And now we'll get back to the podcast. Well rested.
It has been hard, and I won't lie, everybody has suffered. Everybody. It's not just me and you and Big Mike. It's all of the strongmen that competed in all of the events, all of the competitions back to back, have suffered. Some of them only did 2, but the hardcore of us did all 3, and then have suffered. It's so much on, and I don't think people understand the pressure on the joints when you're trying to lift something really, really heavy continuously. Is very hard. I love it, but my shoulders were suffering. And in a seated category, I don't have leg drive. So everything is done from the shoulders and the back. So the amount of work I put in, yes, I won, but it was sort of at a cost to my shoulders. But they're okay. They're okay.
No, not really. It was. I would say it wasn't. You won it as a cost. You won it because the intensity over the year. Like if you look at next year, you're gonna have time to rest. You're gonna have time to deload. You're gonna have time to recover. You probably come back stronger than what you are now. So, or stronger than what you are at Iceland. So I'm looking forward to next year because to be fair, I've not got no, like I never set goals. I want to lift this by this date. I never do that. But I am actually intrigued to what I'm going to be able to lift next year. Nothing is going to stop me at all. Which leads me on to my next question. I want to know what your highlight of this year was.
My highlight of this year. Now, most people would think I would say winning the Worlds, but it's not. My highlight of this year was actually making a return to strongman after my cancer, and just being able to compete at the British. To me, that was more of a highlight to me because I was told by the doctors, obviously, you're never going to compete again. So for me to come out and actually I did all my events. I mean, how I even did 19 reps at 120 on a seated deadlift, I don't even know how I did that. So for me, it was that, just the return to strongman, being able to do all the events, not faltering in any way, shape or form. It wasn't even about the winning. It was about the fact that I came back and did what I needed to do. So for me, that was my highlight. I think, rather than, I know the Worlds, everyone would think it's, oh, you won the Worlds, but of course I'm really happy I won the Worlds, and I put in the work, but it wasn't that. It was coming back from a major 13-hour surgery where I had half my insides removed and I was told I'd never compete again. So definitely the British.
Good. I like that. That's the sort of stuff we want on this podcast, because we can all do with the winning and all do that. That comes with our effort, I believe. So the more effort you put in, the more likelihood you're going to win. The less effort, you'd be lucky if you win. But
yeah.
No, that's really humble, and I really like that answer. So for what are you looking forward to for next year? As in what do you want next year? Do you want to finish the year with all the titles? Do you want to finish the year with
next year?
What?
It's going to be my year. Next year, medically, nothing is going to go wrong for me because this year has been a bit of a nightmare. Everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong medically for me. So I've had my year of rubbish. So next year, I'm going to be on form and I'm going to take it all. I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to...
You got no choice in that, to be fair. That's down to me.
Yeah. I'm not going to say the C word. It's okay.
Yeah. But no, like I said, we've got a lot of training to do.
Canada as well. I forgot we've got Canada next year as well.
I can't wait for Canada. Canada's Ohio could be the place it happens, and you know what I'm talking about here. However, Canada, it's going to happen. And
there you go.
At the end of it, there's no hiding there, is there?
No.
There's nowhere to hide then, is there? All right. So I like that. But no, that's good. So Alfie, if you could give anyone listening to this podcast one bit of advice, if they're dealing or going through or lived with for a long time some form of disability, which all they've been told is they can't do this, they can't do that, I want you to give them some advice. And I want you to give them what you had in your head when you were told that.
Well, I would say never give up and don't believe everything you hear, because not everything you hear is correct. Maybe for the average person, but if you don't want to be that average person, do what you think is best. And all you can do is try.
What's your motto, Alfie?
Well, I'm always fierce, aren't I?
Exactly. So what is it? Train what?
Now, is this the one that goes on the always fierce, or is this the mind over body?
No, this is the one.
For the hardest working women in the gym.
Good gear. Okay. and that's basically what this podcast is about. Because I've had a lot of messages since Iceland about people want me to go and speak to young kids and show them what they can and can't do, and how to believe in themselves and stuff like that. And it's refreshing to me, because I don't think I'm doing anything special, because I'm doing what only I can do, if that makes sense. Like, yes, I do throw weight above my head with one arm, and people do find it like, wow. But people don't understand that is what I have to do that exercise. So it's normal for me to do it, if that makes sense. And then when I started getting all these messages about how I've helped certain people, and people have been in injuries, and where can you get started, and where can we do this, and how can we do that, I've sort of realised that what we do really, I'm not talking about just me, I'm talking about the whole British team, and the American team, and the Iceland team. What they do really is they show people that they don't have to sit still. Because
you don't have to give up just because you've had an accident or an injury or whatever. It doesn't mean to say you have to give up. And what I find, and maybe I shouldn't say this, is we do not get the recognition that able-bodied strongmen get. Now, I think that we work harder because we have to work around a disability. You know, some people's disabilities fatigue them all the time, so you've got to work around that. And we come out fighting, you know. And when we went to the Arnolds, people hadn't really seen disabled strongmen. Look what happened when we went to the Arnolds. We were 10 deep in people all the way around.
Yeah.
Even the people in the watching the Strong Fit Games stopped watching the Strong Fit Games and were filming us because they'd never seen anything like it.
This is Rebel Strength. They do a lot of gym equipment, gym clothing. The discount code is MT5, all capital letters. The website link is in the description below. Let's get back to the podcast. Yeah, it was stones, really.
Yeah, that sort of put us on the map. Well, I wouldn't say it was just the stones. I would say, like, people haven't seen one-armed people doing anything. Where in life would you see that? You know, people have never seen people in wheelchairs lifting Atlas stones. They just, where would you go and see that? And that really put us on the map. Now, I think that we should have as much recognition as an able-bodied strongman does, but we don't seem to get that. But, you know, from doing podcasts and doing talks at schools and putting on expos and things like that and getting more people involved, we will get the recognition because, you know, we deserve it.
Yeah, but I'll ask you another question then. Are you in it for the fame or are you in it for the sport?
I love the sport.
There you go. That's the question. That's the answer I wanted to.
I love the sport. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like the sport. I love getting up in the morning and thinking, yeah, I'm going training. What am I doing today? I'm going to do log today. Yeah, or I'm going to do Atlas stones. I get excited by the fact I'm going to do some stones. I mean, what normal person does that? But, you know, I get excited.
We are far from normal.
Yeah, some concrete in the garden. Yeah, here we go. I love it.
Good. Right, so I'm going to lead on to my final question to you. Really, is when you win the Worlds next year in Canada.
Yes.
Because that's the mindset that you're going to have, whether you like it or not. That's what I'm going to embed in you. When you win the Worlds next year, if you could help anyone with that, as in after competition, as in who would you rather touch base with, who would you want to try and support, who would you want to try and look at to really expand yourself and them? So like a charity or a person that you would want to help. Is there anything like that you want to try and do? Use your fame and your recognition of qualification, your recognition of being a champion to help? Who would it be?
I feel very strongly about our little girl, Hannah.
Yeah, that's mine.
Well, no, sorry, Phoebe, but Hannah's Phoebe. Her mum. I feel very strongly about her and I do everything in my power to nurture her because I think it's important that she sees that, yeah, so what she's got a disability.
Stop there. I want you to just explain to her who Phoebe is and where can they find her?
So Phoebe is a little girl. She's 11 years old and she has Friedreich's ataxia, which is a very rare condition. Same sort of condition as Big Mike has. So it's a neurological condition which affects the joints and the muscles. So she will shake, which makes things on a day-to-day basis very hard. That girl is phenomenal. She picked up 50 kilos on a deadlift the other day. 50 kilos, 11 years. Phenomenal. And her mum understands that she has to nurture her, but I think I try to incorporate her into things that we do. So like we're going to do that thing at the Jets gym. I've already got her coming to showcase what she can do. I find it very, very inspirational that a child can do that. And if she can just help one child that's down on their luck because they've got a disability, then so be it. Yeah.
That's what
but
we
she,
do.
you know, children are different. They can be very cruel to each other. You know, my best friend at school was in a wheelchair. People were very cruel to her. You know, she could have outlifted any of them.
Probably.
But it just takes that one person to say, oh, I'd like to have a go at that.
Exactly. That's all it takes.
And that's how you build the sport. You nurture them from a young age to bring them in. And I think I would help her and any other child that would want to do this. You know, children should not be told because they've got a disability they can't do it, they shouldn't be able to do it. You know, no, you can do it. If we can do it, they can do it.
Yeah, Phoebe is phenomenal. I'll be looking forward to seeing what she can do in the future, believe it or not.
Oh, she's going to smash it up at the Jets.
I bet she is. No, I can't wait for that because it's, like I said, it's another showcase and we need to work on other showcases and stuff like that to try and get some sort of recognition. But like Anna and Magnus, Anna, he started this, 20 years ago. He's basically, I can say him now, and honestly, he's probably one of the people that gave me some sort of drive in the last year or so, just because of the sheer fact of the volume of work. This year has probably been the best year mentally I've ever had, even regardless of what's happening recently and what happened at the beginning of the year in my life. But I have had something which has driven me to do something else. So like next year, nothing's going to stop me.
Your year next year?
Nothing. Oh, right. So Alfie, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it there. I want to thank you for coming on. I also look forward to your training plans when they come. We just need to obviously work on your nutrition. I can keep it like that's a must for you. It's the most important part for your training because, like I said, I'm not here to make you ill. I'm here to make you stronger. So thank you for coming on, and I will speak to you soon. Hopefully within the week. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, right, guys, there was Alfie Wright. She's the world's strongest disabled woman. So I'll be talking to plenty of other disabled strongmen and strongmen on these podcasts, also talking a little bit deep in other matters that I'm quite passionate about and strongly want to try and influence around the world, especially suicide prevention. I'm going to explain to you a lot more about mind over body. You've seen me and Alfie talk about it today. That is a glimpse of what we have to do and what we have to go through. And what we have to do mentally to just sometimes get out of bed in the morning. But like I say, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week on the Mind Over Body podcast. So have a good week, stay safe. Remember, it's always mind over body.